In The Forged Will, an old rich man named Reginald Harrington dies in his room, seemingly from a heart attack. But at the family will reading, things go wrong fast. The lawyer starts choking, foam spilling from his mouth, poisoned in front of everyone. So, how does a simple death turn into a deadly puzzle? And what I, the detective, found next made it all even stranger. This is the case of The Forged Will. Let me take you back to 2024 in the fancy hills of Beverly Hills, California. This is where rich people live in big stone houses, and money can make or break families. Picture those winding roads lined with palm trees, mansions hidden behind tall gates, where every driveway has a luxury car or two. Our story starts with Reginald Harrington, an 82-year-old man who got super rich from oil back in the day. He built an empire drilling in Texas, then moved out west to enjoy his billions in style. He was known for his sharp mind, his collection of rare books, and his tough love for his family. 2 weeks ago, he was found dead in his quiet workroom, a cozy study filled with mahogany furniture and shelves of leather-bound volumes. At first, it looked like his heart just stopped, a natural end for an old man with a history of health issues. But now, the family is gathered in the beautiful library for the will reading. Old books line the walls from floor to ceiling, giving off that musty scent of history, and shiny crystal lights sparkle from the high ceiling like stars in a night sky. There's his wife, sitting poised in a silk dress, his 2 kids, shifting uncomfortably in their seats, and the lawyer they all trusted, adjusting his glasses as he prepares to reveal the tycoon's final wishes. But under the surface, there are old fights, bubbling up resentments from years of favoritism, whispers of secret romances that could tear the family apart. That's when I come in Detective Jordan Hale. I'm an experienced cop who's been on the force for over 20 years, with a real knack for solving crimes among the wealthy elite. I've seen it all: embezzlement schemes, jealous heirs, hidden motives wrapped in luxury. They call me because the lawyer suddenly dies while reading the will, collapsing in a heap right there on the Persian rug. What was supposed to be a simple family meeting, maybe with some arguments over inheritance, is now a full-blown crime scene, cordoned off with yellow tape. The room feels heavy with secrets, like the air itself is holding its breath. Outside, tall trees sway in the evening breeze as the sun sets, casting orange glows through the tall windows. Inside, the shadows grow long, creeping across the floor like fingers. And here's a little thing I noticed right away: a glass with some strong drink scotch, by the smell still half full on the desk. No one had touched it since Reginald died, and it sat there like a silent witness. Okay, let's look closely at what happened, step by step, as I pieced it together on that first night. First, Reginald's body. He was leaning over his desk, his body slumped forward in his leather chair, holding a pen like he was about to sign something important. The doctors initially ruled it a heart attack after all. He was old, and stress from running a billion-dollar empire could do that to anyone. But when they checked deeper during the autopsy, they found too much of a heart medicine called digitalis in his system. It was a clear overdose, cleverly disguised to make it look natural, like his ticker just gave out. The weird part that stuck with me: his eyes were wide open, frozen in a stare right at the will paper laid out in front of him, as if he saw something shocking in his last moments. And there was fresh ink smeared on his shirt sleeve, like he'd been writing furiously just before the end. It made me wonder if he was trying to change something at the last second. Next, the room itself. His workroom was locked tight from the inside, with a big, solid wooden door that looked like it came from an old castle. No one broke in. There were no marks on the lock, no scratches, nothing forced. The windows had strong iron bars, the kind you see on high-security homes, and the fancy electronic alarm system was armed with no breach alerts in the logs. I checked the footage myself. Everything was quiet until the body was discovered by the maid the next morning. Hidden away in the room, there was a safe behind a painting of a stormy sea, left a bit open as if someone had been in a hurry. Inside, I found old love letters, yellowed with age, and a bottle of pills that matched the digitalis. They were tucked away like forgotten secrets. Now, the tricky puzzle that kept me up at night. The signature on the will looked exactly like Reginald's. Every loop and stroke matched his old documents. But when I shone a special UV light on it, tiny differences in the ink showed up, like specks of inconsistency that screamed forgery. He was alone in that locked room, dying from the poison. So how could anyone change the will after he was gone, without leaving a trace? And why kill the lawyer right then, in broad daylight during the reading? If nobody touched it, who switched the money around like that? Redirecting billions with a stroke of a pen. Now, let's talk about the people who could have done this, because in cases like these, it's always family or close associates with the most to gain or lose. I spent hours profiling them, digging into their lives. First up is Victoria Harrington, Reginald's wife. She's a beautiful, fancy lady in her 50s, his second wife after a whirlwind romance and 10 years of marriage. She came from a modest background, but adapted to the high life quickly, hosting galas and rubbing elbows with celebrities. Why would she do it? The will cut her out completely. No money, no house, nothing for her, which must have stung after years of playing the perfect trophy wife. She looked suspicious because she was the one who poured the lawyer's drink during the reading, handing it over with a smile that now seems too sweet. And guess what? She has medicine for her heart that's the exact same as the poison digitalis, prescribed for her own condition. I found the bottle in her bathroom cabinet. Next is Edward Harrington, the son. He's 45, a guy who tried business ventures like starting tech startups and real estate flips, but he always fails and ends up owing money to shady lenders. As the oldest kid, he expected to inherit the empire, but he got nothing in this new will. That's his big reason. Pure and simple desperation for cash. He fought with his dad the night before the death, a heated argument overheard by staff about loans and disappointments, which makes him look bad. Plus, his fingerprints are on the safe's lock, fresh ones that he couldn't explain away. Then there's Sophia Harrington, the daughter. She's 40 and helps good causes with money, running charities for the environment and arts, always in the spotlight for her philanthropy. She was Dad's favorite, the one he bragged about at parties. And in the will, she gets it all: the house, the stocks, the whole fortune. But maybe she's hiding her own problems, like rumors of embezzling from her foundations to cover personal luxuries. She showed up late to the reading, all out of breath and flustered, claiming traffic but with no real proof. And in her bag, a cheap burner phone that had called a handwriting expert just days before. Last is Arthur Lang, the family lawyer who's now dead, of course. Before that, he was a slick professional in his 60s, with a hidden clause in the will that gave him a nice cut of the estate for his services. He wrote the will himself, updating it multiple times over the years, so that's fishy right there. His office files, which I raided with a warrant, show he made lots of different versions of it, some favoring different people. Pause right here. Who do you think faked the will? Drop your guess in the comments below. As I dig deeper into this tangled web, I question each of them one by one in the house's cozy sitting room, a place with plush sofas and a fireplace that crackled softly. But the atmosphere was ice cold. I started with small talk to ease them in, then hit with the hard questions. Their stories about where they were start to fall apart like a house of cards. Victoria said she was at a spa day, pampering herself with massages and facials, but there's no receipt or confirmation from the spa, and security cameras from the neighborhood show her car circling near the house around the time of Reginald's death. She fidgeted with her necklace when I pointed that out, her composure cracking just a bit. Edward claimed he was at a business meeting downtown, pitching to investors, but the person he supposedly met changes their story. After I pressed them, now they say Edward seemed really upset, distracted, and left early without sealing any deal. His hands shook as he denied it, sweat beading on his forehead. Sophia was supposed to be at a charity event across town, and photos from the gala back that up, showing her smiling with donors, but her cheap burner phone was pinged by cell towers near a shady place that specializes in faking handwriting and documents. She turned pale when I mentioned it, insisting it was a wrong number. Things don't add up at all. That glass of strong drink I noticed earlier on the desk. Lab tests come back showing it had poison residue in it, but it wasn't Reginald's original drink. From that night, someone must have added the bad stuff later, maybe swapping glasses to cover their tracks. The ink smear from before matches a pen I found in Edward's office drawer, but under special UV light. It's clear it's a fake clue, planted to point fingers elsewhere. Then, a secret romance comes out that shocks everyone. Those old love letters in the safe are between Victoria and the lawyer, Arthur, full of passionate words and plans for a future together. They were scheming to change the will quietly to get more for themselves, perhaps cutting out the kids. But who poisoned Arthur during the reading? It looks like someone wanted to shut him up before he could spill more. I dust for fingerprints on the pill bottle from the safe. They're Sophia's, clear as day. But she swears she only handled it once, years ago. Now the case is getting really twisted, with everyone seeming involved in some way, lies overlapping, motives intertwining like vines in a jungle. I pace the halls of the mansion late at night, piecing together timelines, wondering if there's a bigger conspiracy or just one mastermind pulling strings. I bring everyone together back in the workroom, the very spot where Reginald met his end. The tension is thick, you could cut it with a knife as they sit around the desk, eyes darting suspiciously. Here's the real story, laid out plain. Edward found out about the secret love between his mom, Victoria, and the lawyer, Arthur, by stumbling on those letters during a late-night snoop. Furious and desperate, he stole the digitalis from Victoria's medicine cabinet and poisoned his dad's evening scotch, knowing it would mimic a heart attack. Then, with his father weakening, he faked the will to make it look like Sophia did it. Using clever tricks he learned from the handwriting expert she had innocently contacted for a charity auction item. But Arthur, being sharp, figured it out during his final review and confronted Edward privately, demanding a bigger share of the money to keep quiet. So, Edward slipped more poison into Arthur's drink, right during the reading, timing it perfectly amid the chaos. How did he pull off the impossible part in a locked room? He had a copy of the key to the workroom, made years ago when he lived there as a kid. He sneaked in through a hidden path for servants, an old passage tucked behind the bookshelves that most had forgotten about, dusty and narrow, but perfect for secrecy. He changed the will while his dad was dying on the floor, gasping for air, then slipped out without anyone seeing, relocking from inside via a string trick he'd read about in one of those old mystery novels on the shelves. Why all this elaborate scheme? Edward owed tons of money from gambling millions to scary people, loan sharks who were threatening to come after him with more than just calls. He saw the inheritance as his only way out, but couldn't wait for nature to take its course. The weird ink differences under the light? He rushed the fake in the dim room, using a pen that was a little off in formula from Reginald's usual one. Victoria and Arthur were in love, sure, and plotting their own minor tweaks, but they didn't kill anyone. Edward just made them look guilty to throw us off, planting clues like a pro. Edward gets arrested right there, handcuffs clicking as he slumps in defeat. Under pressure in the interrogation room, with evidence stacked against him, he confesses. The old man deserved it. He never believed in me. The fake will is thrown out by the courts after a quick hearing, and the money gets split evenly among the remaining family, as per an older version Reginald had filed. Victoria, heartbroken and humiliated by the affair coming out, packs up her designer bags and moves to Europe, maybe to a villa in France to start over. Sophia, shaken but resilient, works to fix the family's reputation, pouring more into her charities and vowing to honor her dad's legacy honestly. I close the case file back at the station, stacking it with the others, but I take one last look at the workroom door during a final walkthrough. Did I miss anything, a loose thread? A hidden motive? Nah, it all ties up. Case closed.